Welcome everyone to our second webinar in our Adaptability Initiative series. My name is Janelle DeRobertis and I'm a Customer Success Manager here with Swivl. We are bringing this webinar series to you to support educators who are creating learning communities in their school or their district in order to be able to foster adaptability. We know AI is already having a huge impact on the education space, and a great way to adapt to this kind of change is to build learning communities around topics such as AI so we can share ideas and learn and grow together. So we at Swivl want to partner with you and build an adaptable community. And what I'm going to be doing is sharing how our product Reflectivity is a tool to support this. And I'm going to give you a quick tour of our software. And then we will be hearing from our special guest, Laura, after that. So logging into our software Reflectivity, you first experience the inspiration board. And this is shows you all of the different skills that your colleagues are working on, they've chosen to work on, whether they're in your school or district, but they're in your on your team. And these are organized by different topics. So you can see in the right-hand corner, the overarching topic here for these skills is AI. And all of these skills pertain to how educators want to use AI in their classroom. You're able to look through different categories or different topics, for example, SEL, literacy, classroom management, and kind of hone in on what skills you want to focus on in your classroom. But you'll see here, you can look and explore and really take in all the different ideas and skills that others are working on. So the one that we're going to be, that I'm really excited to hear about from Laura today is utilizing design thinking for instruction. So I'm going to walk you through how I would be able to work on this skill that I've chosen, that I'm interested in, and really work within a learning community around this skill. When you click in, you can see all the other colleagues that are working on it. And so I would like to join them. And then I'm brought into the activity page where, again, I can take a look and see the community that is working on this skill as well, how they're updating their work. I can invite others to join into this community. And then I'm going to go ahead and start my activity on how I'm going to utilize design thinking for instruction. And it starts you off by thinking into the future. Where do you want to be in a month on this skill? So let's say I'm looking to be informed. That's the first step I'm going to take. And then following that, how am I going to build momentum and take small steps towards being informed? So I've got some options here that I can choose from. I'm going to read an article as my first step. So now I'm going to take some time to go find my article, kind of start digging into design thinking. And when I'm ready to come back, I'm going to be able to reflect on and check in on my work and my progress. If I don't come back and check in, it will give you, Reflectivity will send you a reminder through the Reflectivity app, and you'll also get a notification reminder after 7 days to come back and check in. So imagining I went, I read my article, and now I'm going to update how it's going, where am I at with my work. That article left me feeling motivated, and I would like to record a written reflection on what I read and what I realized. So I'm able to enter into this space here, and I even have the option of adding some video. I can record myself doing a verbal reflection, or I can record maybe a lesson that I did in my classroom where I was able to incorporate something I learned from the article pertaining to this skill, and I can watch that back for deeper reflection. But that's not the last step that I'm going to take. So I'm going to continue to log what I'm going to do next to move myself forward and make sure that I'm reflecting, checking in, getting feedback from colleagues so that I'm able to really adapt better to this skill rather than just thinking about it once and then moving on. I want to reflect, make a change, and then go from there. So for my next step, I think I'm going to join a learning community. So that might look like following a group on Twitter or X, or joining a Facebook group, any other type of learning community that I can learn with. And my favorite part of this community space is this discussion tab here to the side, where you're able to share your reflections with everyone in the learning community. And then from there, you're able to get feedback, get support, and also be able to share your thinking with others so they're able to learn from you. So you can have a discussion on your shared reflections in this space here. So that is a quick overview of reflectivity, so you can see how you're able to really structure that reflective practice and learn within a community to be able to adapt to those different skills. We're going to be sharing more and links in the chat for you to meet with us and join us and partner with us in using reflectivity to build that adaptable community towards the end. So look for those links in the chat, or share your name if you want us to reach out to you. But I am going to introduce Laura now. All right, here we go. So we are so excited to have Laura here with us today to share more about adaptability and learning communities and design thinking, which I'm excited about. So Laura is a high school instructional coach, and she focuses on how to improve student voice and choice in the curriculum and create learning environments responsive to student needs. She's a Google certified trainer and coach. She was a finalist for the Voices of Inspiration, and she has received a service award for the Greater Philadelphia CAPIs. She has presented at many different conferences, including ISTE, Pennsylvania Council of Teachers of English and Language Arts, the PASA Women's Summit, and the Pennsylvania Educational Technology Expo and Conference. And Laura's most recent presentations have focused on AI, universal design for learning, and design thinking. Laura, we're so excited to have you. I'm passing the mic over to you.
Thank you very much, Janelle. I really appreciate your intro and giving me a little bit of time to talk about what we're doing in my school and share my story. So I just think reflectivity works so well with what we're trying to accomplish within our community. And just to tell you about my journey, I think when we look at this whole webinar series that has been created for us by Swivl, I think I'm the boots on the ground. I'm in the classrooms. I'm in a high school, working with teachers every day, trying to solve what we can do to help students grow. So I'm going to focus my presentation on some things that have been of interest to us, what's guided us as a school, what my process has been looking at AI in education, and some of our successes and concerns. So when I'm looking at AI, I want to think about how we can build a whole community, kind of like we're looking at those different topics. What can we bond around, and what do we want for our students and for our faculty? One of the things I started looking at a couple years ago was created by Future Design School. They're looking at the skills gap. And as a high school teacher, we're always concerned about, like, what's the next step? Are they going to college? Are they going into the workforce? What does the workforce want for us? And you're looking at adaptability. We don't know what some of these future jobs are going to be. We don't know how AI is going to change us. We know what our content is, but they are talking about skills that are in demand, and what can we do to help teach those skills with our students. There's other things we're looking at. We know we're coming out of COVID. We know that we need to think about our wellness for our students, both physically and mentally, and that social emotional learning, and how that's kind of student-centered at the core of everything. How can we teach some of these skills that's going to help them build relationships, make responsible decisions? And how can we extend that beyond just themselves into our classroom, schools, families, and communities? This spring, I was able to go with COSIN to a day of advocacy in DC and hear from the Office of Educational Technology. They do have a report out that was really looking at teachers. We hear that teachers are burnt out, that things are not going well for all of our teachers. And the statistics that they brought back is 49% of teachers of their time is spent with direct instruction with students. So how can we improve that number so that teachers can have more time with their students and less time doing some of the other elements that are involved with the teaching profession? No matter what, whenever we're looking at AI, we want to be centered on students and teachers. And there are concerns that we have, and there are things that we need to consider, like privacy. What is our vision for learning? How can we look at all of these different areas and come up with a topic that is necessary for us? So feel free in the chat, which of these infographics speaks to you, to your present needs. You are going to be the advocate for your community. And I'd love to hear which one of these kind of resonates with you when you're thinking that big global picture of where AI might fit with your vision. So when we as a school looked at how are we going to solve these problems, I as a coach, I developed a course over the summer where we as teachers were able to kind of meld with people of our own thinking and think about how can we use design thinking to approach our current needs with our students, and how can AI assist us with our goals. So if you're not familiar with design thinking, it is a process that looks something like this. You're going to empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test what you are thinking. As we're entering AI, the most important thing to do is empathize with those around us. What are their concerns? Who's affected by AI entering into our classrooms? How are they feeling? Are they excited or are they struggling? Does it feel like one more thing, or does it feel like something that's supporting what they're doing? We need to define what it is that we want to have as questions. So how might we approach things when AI is in the mix with our teaching? How might we think about data and privacy? How might we think about our instructional goals? How might we adapt what we're already doing to be improved by the use of AI? And then it's just like thinking, lots and lots of thinking and reflecting, writing down things that come to our mind, not worrying too much about whether or not it's the right answer, the wrong answer, just trying to get our ideas down on paper so we can find some common threads. And then we're going to come up with what our prototype is, our best thought on the process. And the one that resonated to me the most that we came up with when thinking about AI is that it's really going to be there to assist us with personalized learning. We didn't always have that time frame in the past to go about our thinking and really individualize things for each and every student. We did a lot of whole group instruction, and we really wanted to provide more opportunities to meet students where they are and help them be bumped up to the next level of success. So really, in the chat, if you have a moment, where do you think you are as a community or as an individual in this design thinking process? Are you emotionally trying to think through an idea? Are you working on some things that are how might we statements? Are you coming up with lots of different ideas? What is it that you think resonates with you the most? When I came up with an idea, I looked at what we're trying to do, and I framed it this way, that our ultimate goal is personalized learning. That's what we're looking to achieve. But we need a framework to really study personalized learning. And the one that we have used in conjunction with our regional, in Pennsylvania, we call them intermediate units. You might have something similar in your states, a regional board, is the idea of promoting universal design for learning. We also moved into a new building. So we're looking at flexible group spaces. How can we use that and promote student voice, choice, and agency? With all of those things pushed together, we know where AI fits. AI has to fit under that umbrella and our other educational tools that we are using. So that's our main focus for AI. There's so many things out there that we wanted to limit to just those things that deal with personalized learning at this time. If you're not familiar with Universal Design for Learning, these are the guidelines. This is created by CAST, and you can see that there are three main vertical groups that you're looking at. Engagement, which is the why of learning, representation, which is the what of learning, and action and expression, which is how we are going about learning. Each of those has, across the grid, has access and build and internalize as ways that we can go about building those structures. As a school, we are looking at each of those 9 areas to see where students might have obstacles to their learning, where AI might fit to help them overcome those obstacles. So we've seen a lot in recruiting interest. They need some more motivation to get started. How can we help them do that? How can we focus on relevance? Where is this going to be important in their life? And how can that affect how they are getting drawn into topics? We've seen some areas with representation where comprehension might be difficult. We have students speaking many different languages in our building. After the pandemic, we've seen that they're reading on much different levels as well. So how can we meet them where they are and get them to where we want to be, which is grade level reading or beyond? And then the last is action and expression. So those executive functioning skills, anything that's a long project, started to become pretty difficult. So we wanted to think about how can we approach their learning? How can we break things down into chunks? How can we create different scaffolded lessons for them so that they can achieve? So I love the comments. We have things coming in where you're wondering what is AI all about? How does it fit into our larger group? And I think that's, even though, I'm not leading right with AI, I wanted to set that framework for you that it's very important to think about how students learn and how we teach before we go into what kind of AI tools will best meet that. So what I'm going to do is just give you one idea. And if you have other ideas of things that you have tried out, AI platforms you've tried out, prompts that you've entered that have really helped with those areas, feel free to add them in the chat. One of the companies that I've been working with lately is called Quizzes. So Quizzes over the summer has released some great AI features that assist with quiz creation. So you can type in a topic and it will give you a quiz around that topic. You can you can adapt a test that you might be having, a quiz, and you can say something like, give it a different tone or a voice. So you can think of a famous comedian or something like that and put that in. Or you can say, hey, I'd like these math problems to be something that would work for somebody in a trade field. Make the math related to carpentry. Make it related to being an engineer. And the AI and quizzes will help with that. It also integrates very well with other platforms. Canva will work well within there. And the way that they personalize their learning, that teachers can decide how a quiz might be generated. So maybe you're doing this with your entire class. It's a teacher-led experience. Teachers are doing this with their entire class at the same time in a kind of competitive way. You might also say, no, I'd like them to do an individual assignment. So this is something that's going to be delivered individually to each student. Or you can do a mastery where I'd like you to keep getting questions until you master this subject at a certain percent. On the back end, there's some great analytics for teachers to look at to see how students are doing. So that, I think, is engagement. It helps build relevance for students. It helps get them motivated to get started, and it creates a little energy in the classroom. If you are interested in learning more about quizzes, I highly recommend you take their Game Changer course. It's about 15 to 30 minutes. You don't even have to watch all of them, but it gives you all the different features. And I think it's a great way to learn something of a new platform. The other one I'd like to highlight is a program called DIFIT. I also learned about this one this summer when I was at ISTE, and a little bit before that as well through some conversations with teachers in neighboring districts. This one's good for representation. We want to create resourceful and knowledgeable individuals. You might want to try this one out. What it can do is it can adapt an existing reading material for you for any reader, for any grade level, for any language. They have lots of different languages. You can have a pre-existing article. You can look one up on the internet and do a link. Or you can just say, I'd like to learn more about, and then whatever the topic is, and it will generate a resource for you. Along with that resource, it'll give you the article, it'll give you a summary, it'll give you multiple choice questions, it'll give you short answer questions, it'll give you open-ended questions, it'll give you a list of vocabulary. So it's hitting all the targets in representation on the UDL model. And it also will then take it and put it into either a Google Doc for you, a template, or a Google form. So that is another great website I would look at if you are interested in adapting any of the readings, excerpts, or articles. And the last one I would recommend is called Magic School AI. I do think they're part of the webinar coming up in the next week or so. And what they do is they are very strategic and goal-directed. There's lots of different things that can help teachers as they're planning in their lesson planning. Like they can help with assessments, IEP writing, communication with parents, and differentiated instruction. So this is kind of a screenshot of some of the things that they can do, but I think there's about 12 different other features there that they can do as well. And I think it's a great starting point for you to kind of think about your instruction. You are still the professional in the room. You're going to look at what is generated and decide, is this right for my classroom? Maybe you might need to ask again how to formulate something a little more specifically to meet your needs, or edit it as you desire. But I think it's a great starting point. It is like another coach in the room that can help you when you as a teacher are feeling stuck, or when you're really trying to personalize that learning experience to meet each and every student where they are. So currently right now, UNESCO is recommending that the generative AI is used for 18 years and above. 13 through 18 is with parent permission, and under 13 is not recommended. But that doesn't mean you can't be providing AI skills for your students at every level. So one thing I am suggesting and encouraging many teachers in my school and my district to do is really start looking at the art of having students create their own questions. We want them to be based in inquiry learning. We want them to ask really good questions, because prompt engineering is one of those future jobs that will be created because of AI. So perfecting the art of the question when you're entering something into ChatGPT, Google Bard, something like that, you might want to think about something we've used in our English classes before called RAFT, which is the role, the audience, the format, the topic, and the theme. Imagine who you are. I'm a teacher. My audience would be a student or a parent. I'll say I'm a teacher. Writing a format would be letter. To the audience would be a parent about missing schoolwork. How can I do that with a professional tone? So you have all that entered in, and you'll see very quickly a response that can be generated from there. And then you can decide, once you see that response, is this good to go? Ready, hit send. Do I need to adapt this, put some of my own personal words in there, change it up a little bit, or just like, no, that's not what I wanted. But I think teaching students the art of asking questions is going to be a very important skill that we can do. So with our instruction, what I think the best thing is to just be curious. Go out there, look at some of these sites, think about what's the value added for including AI into our world. Be thoughtful. Think about why you're using AI. You don't just pick up a tool and use it without knowing why. So think about what your intention is and what you're doing. Be reflective. Like Janelle was talking about earlier with her reflectivity app. Think about what happened when you used it, and talk it over with other people. See if people have similar experiences to you or something different. And then the last is focus on process over product. So learning is the journey. It's the process of learning is what teaching is all about. How do we get from point A to point B? Try and look at some of your assignments you have, or were you just focused on the product? For example, give me the essay, and I'm not looking at the process that goes on from the prompt to the finished product. How can we expand that process, and how can AI help us with that? So maybe AI helps you with brainstorming ideas. Maybe it helps you with editing your paper. Maybe it gives you some other ideas of content you should be added. One thing, and I don't know who to credit for this, but I read it in one of my groups. It's called Uno Reverse. So if you get an essay, because some people are worried, oh, everyone's going to cheat now. They're just going to take things and no one's writing anymore. If they give you a prompt or an essay, you can do just like when you're playing Uno Reverse. Take their prompt, put it into ChatGPT, say, write me 5 questions of comprehension questions on this essay. And then Uno Reverse, talk to your students. Like, here's 5 questions I'd like you to answer about your writing, and see how well they do. It's all about thinking about the process over the product and how we can be intentional with that. So if you're looking for next steps, like, what should I do now? This is just a starting point. It's a quick 30 minutes discussion about what AI can be and fall into with design thinking, building communities, and UDL. But I would first start with the Office of Educational Technology. They're putting things on there every day, trying to create conversations across the United States around AI and what that looks like in education. Review resources from this presentation. I'm going to share you in just a second a QR code where you can get the presentation and a list of resources I used to help create this session and my summer course. Use your early adopters in your school for resources. You probably know who they are, people who are all in and just are okay with learning on the fly. Talk to them. Think about what they're looking at. Use your librarians, your media specialists. They know a lot about critical thinking, how to look at things with a critical eye. They know how to do citations. There are lots of things that way that can be very helpful. Your tech department is a wonderful resource. They will help you with all your data privacy issues that you might be experiencing. I've joined a couple PLNs. I'm going to be taking an ISTE class coming up soon on AI chatbots and how to create them. They're merging with ASCD, and they're going to be creating something called Teach AI with lots of resources for teachers. So be aware of that. There's Facebook groups, just about every product has one, as well as general AI in the classroom. Twitter or X has groups as well. Look back at design thinking in UDL and just keep going through that. Look for some positive stories that you're seeing. There's going to be a ton of things where people are weary and worried about the use of AI. But look for those glimmers. They're out there. There are success stories of people who are coming up with some great ideas of how to be creative with AI. And then just meet with your community, figure out what policies seem to take a long time, right? But guidelines and guardrails don't. You can as a group think about what do we need to steer our group in a positive message. And if you don't have someone, please feel free, reach out to me on Twitter or through email. This is my resource tab, so feel free to take a picture of the QR code. That'll take you to this Canva presentation. Or when you do, you can take a look at this resource link, and that will give you a lot of other great resources to look at when you're considering questions you might have that I might not have gotten to in our time together. So again, thank you very much. I really appreciate this time, and I really appreciate Swivl for inviting me to present today. I hope you have learned something new. And if you have any questions, feel free, put them in the chat and I will answer them as I can.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Laura. A lot of great resources and strategies for thinking through how to, bring in AI, especially that design thinking. I thought that was important. Being able to have a community to share how you're feeling about adopting AI, ideas for how you're going to, address it, and then being able to iterate alongside everyone is important. So that was great. Albert, it looks like requested the QR code again.
Yeah, I'm going to put that up real quick.
Thank you so much.
And just let us know that you got it, and then I'll let Janelle do the next bit.
Perfect. And to close out, I do have another QR code for you to learn more about the Adaptability Initiative. We'd love to meet with you and talk more about building a community in your school or in your district or organization to be adaptable and to learn more about reflectivity. So I'm going to share our QR code. And again, if there's any questions, Laura and I are happy to answer. I don't see anything in the Q&A right now, though. We also have quite a few more webinar sessions coming up that we're excited about. So definitely come back. I saw in the chat that the CEO and founder of Magic is it to bring you to a quick form, or if you want to skip the form and just send your name, we can get you an email and connect that way. Thank you. There's the website to sign up for the rest of the AI webinar series and take a look at all the different presenters we have coming up the next couple of months. That's all we have for you today, though. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us tonight, and a huge thank you to Laura for joining us and to our product team for having reflectivity for us.